Hey everybody, it's me, Andrea Thompson. I'm back with another poem about an important figure from Black literary history, and actually specifically American Black literary history. So this one is about Gil Scott-Heron, and it's called The Stream. This is not a poem about Gil Scott-Heron. It is not a riff on the death of the American dream. It does not venture a guess as to whether or not the revolution will be aired on television. It is not a poem about hip hop or the starring cast of rap's Black ancestral past. Although this poem will briefly rehash how the lyrical evolution of Grandmaster Flash went supernova in the 70s, ignited by a spark from the combustible verse of Gil Scott. This poem will not focus on how, as time passed, Mr. Heron was reluctantly dubbed the godfather of rap because Gil Scott-Heron wouldn't dig that. Gil Scott-Heron would want me to tell you the story of how I used the fat fly urban lure of hip hop to trick a posse of teenage boys into learning the history of Black poetry and how to dig for the roots in the southern soil of slavery. When call and response, rapid fire, verbal assaults, and hypnotic rhythms left the slave masters bewildered by the automatic, fully loaded weapons our ancestors used to fight their way to freedom and back again. At first, the boys gave me the side eye and said, "Yo, you be tripping." But when I dropped a fresh dose of Gil Scott-Heron, they slowly started to listen. As the story unfolded of how the rebirth of Black urban spoken word was born from a bell-bottomed, afro-headed poetic, how Gil Scott-Heron rapped the state of the streets with wild, uninhibited, rhythmic abandon, both outcast and truth teller, troubadour, unchained, signifying heir to the literary throne the Black arts movement kept warm. Yeah, word. Gil Scott would want me to talk about the way the verse of Langston Hughes blazed into his ears and ignited a fire, how the embers of Black vernacular forged by the roaring passion of Harlem kept his own heart, his own wily words warm. Gil Scott would want me to relate the history of the linguistically nimble lineage of lyricists from which he was born. Gil Scott would want me to tell the story of how he and the other far out, can you dig it, hip hep cat griots of his generation, those who revolutionized, regenerated, reconstructed Black poetics, were only boats floating down the river of diasporic creative evolution, showing us how to let go to the rhythm of the current. Gil Scott would want you to know it ain't about the boat, it's all about the ocean, all about going with the flow and surrender to the moment. Gil Scott would also want me to tell you the rest of the story, how those trick teenage poets opened me up, pushed me past my practiced artist panic, taught me how to freestyle, how to rap badly and be proud, how to not be afraid to be a fool, to let down the guard of my own barricaded, polished facade as I fumbled to find rhyme in the cycle of after-school ciphers. How those kids gave me space to stumble and fall, with the faith that I'd find my rhythm if I let go of my inhibitions and just refuse to give in. This isn't a poem about me or even intergenerational mentorship. It's a poem about the river of history. It's a poem about the flow that feeds into this oceanic art we call spoken word. A poem about the current, about the past, the present, and the precedent. It's about the power of connection between those who laid the tracks and the train that blazes ahead on them. It's about having the courage it takes to dare heart-centered communication, to dare to speak up, to dare to pour out emotion, to dare to bear witness to your life, owning both your courage and the so-called failures you learn from. It's about daring to dive into the seventh chakra blues and the experience of being human and let it stream through you until you are free and washed clean again. It's about letting the words comfort zone become nothing but a joke. As all your heartbreak, all your loss, all your wisdom and love, everything that breathes life into your body from the mystery of your soul, fills up your lungs and is set out into the world like a helium balloon, suddenly let go. It's a poem about riding the rapids of dialect. It's about being up the creek of your own vulnerability, rudderless and stripped. It's a poem about being naked in a snowstorm and singing out your own name again and again and again and again. It's a poem about knowing you're not alone. You're not alone, you are not alone, you are not alone. As you carve a new language with the tip of your tongue. Or, yeah, I guess maybe this is just another poem about Gil Scott-Heron. Just another poem about the life of a river man with an ego the size of Texas. Or so I've been told. But what do I know? I'm new here with my luggage full of bones. Show me around. That's the poem. Thanks for listening.